Every morning, you wake up and reach for your phone. You scroll through feeds curated by invisible algorithms, search for answers through engines that decide what truth looks like, and communicate through platforms owned by people you've never met, but who know everything about you. But here's the question that should keep you awake at night. Who really controls this digital world that controls you? Picture this. 7 companies control more of your daily life than most governments ever could. Google processes 8.5 billion searches daily. That's more than one search for every person on Earth. Facebook connects 3 billion people, making Mark Zuckerberg arguably more powerful than most world leaders. Amazon doesn't just deliver packages. They host the internet itself through AWS, powering Netflix, Spotify, and even government agencies. But here's what they don't tell you in business school. This wasn't inevitable. It was orchestrated. In the late 1990s, while most people thought the internet would democratize everything, a small group of Stanford computer science students had a different vision. They understood something the rest of us missed. Whoever controls the flow of information controls reality itself. Larry Page and Sergey Brin didn't just create a search engine. They created a machine that decides what billions of people know about the world. Every time you Google something, you're not finding information. You're finding what Google's algorithm thinks you should know. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you went to page 2 of Google results? Never. Congratulations. You've just experienced information control at its finest. But the tech giants are just the visible layer. Beneath them lies something far more powerful and far less understood. The algorithm empire. These aren't just pieces of code. They're digital dictators with no accountability, no elections, and no term limits. YouTube's algorithm decides which videos get seen by millions and which disappear into digital obscurity. TikTok's algorithm can make a teenager famous overnight or destroy a small business with a shadow ban. Here's the terrifying part. Nobody fully understands how these algorithms work anymore. Not even the engineers who built them. They've become so complex, so self-learning, that they've evolved beyond human comprehension. We've created digital gods, and we're not sure what they want. Consider this. In 2016, Facebook's algorithm helped determine a presidential election by deciding which news stories appeared in whose feeds. In 2020, YouTube's algorithm influenced vaccine opinions for millions. In 2021, TikTok's algorithm shaped how young people understood mental health. These aren't glitches in the system. This is the system. But even the algorithm empire has puppet masters, the companies you've never heard of, that literally keep the internet running. Meet Cloudflare. They protect and accelerate 1/6 of the entire internet. When Cloudflare decides to cut off a website, it's like being digitally executed. No trial, no appeal, just digital death. Then there's Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. These 3 companies host the majority of websites you visit daily. They don't just store your photos and videos. They are the foundation upon which the digital world is built. When AWS goes down, half the internet goes dark. In 2021, a single Fastly server failure took down Amazon, Reddit, Spotify, and CNN simultaneously. Millions of people suddenly realized how fragile their digital lives really were. But here's the scarier question. What if it wasn't an accident? Now we enter the realm of the truly powerful, the people and organizations that most citizens have never heard of, but who shape digital policy worldwide. The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, literally controls who gets to exist online. They decide who gets domain names, how the Internet's addressing system works, and ultimately, who gets digital citizenship. Then there are the submarine cable companies. Yes, you heard that right. Your international internet travels through cables at the bottom of the ocean, owned by a handful of telecommunications giants. Control the cables, control global communication. But here's where it gets really interesting. Government surveillance agencies didn't disappear when the internet became civilian. The NSA's PRISM program, revealed by Edward Snowden, showed us that intelligence agencies have backdoors into every major tech platform. They don't need to control the internet directly. They just need to control the controllers, the money masters. Follow the money, and you'll find the real puppet strings. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, three investment firms you probably can't even pronounce correctly, are the largest shareholders in Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. They own pieces of competing companies simultaneously, creating a shadow board of directors across the entire tech industry. When the same investment firms own major stakes in both Google and Facebook, do these companies really compete? Or do they just perform competition while serving the same financial masters? Chinese tech giants like ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, and Tencent add another layer of complexity. Your data doesn't just flow to Silicon Valley, it flows to servers in countries with very different ideas about privacy, freedom, and control. The future controllers. But who will control the Internet of tomorrow? The players positioning themselves now will determine your digital future for decades. Elon Musk's Starlink isn't just about internet access, it's about bypassing terrestrial internet infrastructure entirely. Control the satellites, control global communication from space. The metaverse isn't science fiction, it's the next battlefield for control. Whoever builds the virtual worlds of tomorrow will have unprecedented power over human interaction, commerce, and even perception of reality. Artificial intelligence companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and DeepMind aren't just building chatbots. They're building the digital minds that will mediate between humans and information. When AI becomes the interface between you and knowledge, whoever controls the AI controls truth itself. And then there's quantum computing, still in its infancy, but promising to make current encryption obsolete overnight. The first entity to achieve quantum computing supremacy won't just control the internet, they'll control all digital secrets simultaneously. The control paradox. Here's the ultimate irony. The internet was designed to be uncontrollable. Its creators, DARPA researchers in the 1960s, built a network that could survive nuclear war by having no central point of failure. They created something specifically designed to resist the kind of control we see today. But human nature found a way. Instead of controlling the infrastructure, the new power brokers controlled the experience. They didn't need to own the internet, they just needed to own your attention. Every free service you use isn't free. You pay with data, attention, and ultimately autonomy. You think you're browsing the internet, but increasingly, the internet is browsing you, the uncomfortable truth. So who really controls the internet? The answer is both simpler and more complex than you might think. No single entity controls it all, but a small network of interconnected organizations, algorithms, and individuals control enough of it to shape reality for billions of people. They control what you see, what you buy, who you talk to, and increasingly what you think. They've built a system so complex and interdependent that even they don't fully understand its power, they just wield it. The most successful power grab in human history happened while we were posting cat videos and arguing about politics online. We traded freedom for convenience, privacy for personalization, and autonomy for entertainment. But here's the thing about power. It only exists as long as people don't fully understand how it works. Now you know. The question is, what are you going to do about it? The next time you unlock your phone, remember, you're not just checking messages, you're entering a world controlled by entities that know you better than you know yourself, operating by rules you never agreed to, serving masters you never elected. The internet isn't free. You're just paying in a currency you never realized you were spending. This has been Who Really Controls the Internet. Thank you for listening, and remember, question everything, especially the platforms that make questioning convenient.